What up, guys? Your boy Quake, and Slim Shady is finally back. Unless you're living under a rock these past 24 hours, you know that Eminem dropped a surprise album called Kamikaze. And let's just get straight to the point. Eminem definitely delivered on this album. It's very clear he made up for that piece of garbage album that came out in late 2017 called Revival. We all know that was Eminem's worst project to date. Now, when this project dropped, the first thing Eminem said is on Twitter, he said, "Try not to overthink this one. Enjoy." I clicked on the pictures and I immediately checked for the executive producers because there's one person I don't want on there, and that's Rick Rubin. And thank God he was not on there. It only said Dr. Dre and Eminem, which was something I was hoping for. That's why I immediately looked at the executive producers. I feel like, in my opinion, Rick Rubin's the one that's responsible for the garbage direction that Eminem has gone these past two albums. Yes, even Marshall Mathers LP2, in my opinion, wasn't that good. However, on this Kamikaze project, Eminem is definitely back to where he once was, and I think that's thanks to Dr. Dre and just Eminem working together in the studio and making sure they delivered a surprise project that was something dope. And they definitely did that because out of the 11 tracks minus the skits, I believe he has 8 good tracks out of those 11, which is definitely a hit in terms of a project if you only miss 2 or 3 tracks. Plus, Eminem responded to everyone that gave him criticism for the Revival album, which was dope. It brought me back to the old Eminem, the Eminem that doesn't care at all. And he said everyone's name for the most part, besides a few artists, and we're going to go through all of it right now. Before we get into that, though, I want to talk about the 3 tracks that I really dislike on this project, and they're all the relationship-driven tracks, which is Normal, Nice Guy, and Good Guy. All 3 of these tracks talk about Eminem's life, where he's at in his relationship with his life, with females and stuff like that. Honestly, all 3 of these tracks I'm skipping over every single time. Other than that, every other song is dope, and I haven't skipped over it, and I like every single feature, and I'm surprised I like the Joyner Lucas feature because I'm not a huge fan of Joyner, so that feature was dope. Joyner did his thing, Eminem did his thing. Now that that's out the way, let's talk about the disses that Eminem sends towards a lot of commentators, towards a lot of rappers, so on and so forth. Let's talk about the first track, The Ringer. And straight out the gate on this track, Eminem responds to Vince Staples. And what he says is, "To rape the alphabet, I may raise some brows. If I press the issue just to get the anger out, Full Magazine could take Staples out." Now, what the hell did Vince Staples do to get this bar from Eminem? Well, a while ago, Vince Staples was interviewed by Pitchfork and got asked about Eminem's freestyle during the BET Hip Hop Awards, where he was going at Donald Trump. And this is what Vince Staples said. He says, "It was trash. He can do better. If I said this is for Colin, ball up a fist and keep it balled up like Donald the bitch, that would be like, get this guy out of here." He then later went on Twitter and said that Eminem's statement was all in good fun. "I like him and Kim. Pitchfork took it out of context because they're thirsty. Let me get these jokes off." So he's basically saying he was making fun of Eminem's freestyle just as a joke. He didn't really mean it. Then when this Ringer song came out, literally the day it came out, Vince Staples tweeted those bars exactly word for word, so he's acknowledged what Eminem has said. After Eminem went at Vince Staples, he decided to go at mumble rap as a whole. Throughout the track, he voices his frustration with the state of hip-hop, and we all know Eminem hates mumble rap. He's voiced this various times throughout his career. He says in the bars, "I can see why people like Lil Yachty, but not me though. Not even dissing, it just ain't for me. All I am simply is just an MC. Maybe Stan just wasn't your cup of tea. Maybe your cup's full of syrup and lean. Maybe I need to stir shit up, preferably. Shake the world up if it were up to me. Paul wants me to chill, y'all want me to ill. I should eat a pill, probably I will." And while going at mumble rappers in the track, he decides to borrow Lil Pump's Gucci Gang flow, and after borrowing that flow and going at mumble rappers, he decides to go at Charlemagne and Joe Budden. He says, "Oh man, that BET cypher was weak. It was garbage. The thing ain't even orange. Oh my god, that's a reach. Shout out to all my colorblind people." In these bars, he's referring to when Charlemagne sat down with Joe Budden on Revolt TV, and he said the thing was not even orange, and he was reacting to Eminem's freestyle on the BET cypher.
Eminem said, being racist is the only thing you're fantastic for because you're orange and you get your rocks off. LeBron James tweeting that with fire emojis. I'm like, that shit is such a fucking reach.
Let me interrupt.
First of all, the Thing isn't even orange. I'm a comic book head. So the Thing from the Fantastic Four isn't even really orange.
What color is he?
He's like a yellowish,
Beige?
beige color. And it's like, get your rocks off. What does that even mean? They never kicked
The Thing was a rock.
But they never kicked him out of the Fantastic Four. How did he get the rocks off? Like, it doesn't make no sense.
Then Eminem goes on and uses the Gucci Gang flow, and while using the Gucci Gang flow, he says, Charlemagne gonna hate anyway, doesn't matter what I say, give me donkey of the day. And on this track, he clarifies that if you're not Joyner Lucas, Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, or Big Sean, then I'm basically going at you. He says, and dump on you if you ain't Joyner, if you ain't Kendrick or Cole or Sean, then you're a goner. Following that, on the second track, Greatest, Eminem responds to The Antwoord, the African hip-hop group that was mad at Eminem for mispronouncing their word. On Revival, when Eminem was talking about on Untouchable, he said, I'd rather hear him say Die Antwoord than The Antwoord. Ninja, now it's better disguised banter. On that line, on the Untouchable track and Revival, the South African hip-hop group responded to Eminem saying, hey, why'd you mispronounce our name? You know, how would you like it if your name was mispronounced? So on and so forth.
Okay, so, like, how would you feel if I called you Eminem? Okay, your name's Eminem, but I call you Eminem just because it rhymes with something, you know? Like, that's, like, Eminem.
Eminem went to jail, but he got a little bit of semen in his bum, and he was never ever seen again.
Eminem went to jail and got a bit of semen in his bum and was never seen again. Do you see how that feels? Yeah.
Now Eminem responded on this Greatest track, and he said, I know there's people that are pissed about the way I mispronounced a name, Die Antwoord. Fuck, I still can't say this shit, but how quickly they forget who the fuck I was now. Ninja, try to duck my slugs to let your girl get fucked by mugs. Following this, on the third track, Lucky You with Joyner Lucas, this is the first time Eminem decides to take shots at Drake. In his verse, he says, I got a couple of mansions, still I don't have any manners. You got a couple of ghostwriters, but to these kids, it don't actually matter. They're asking me what the fuck happened to hip-hop. I said I don't have any answers. And as we all know, Drake has been exposed for having ghostwriters back in 2015 when he was working on If You're Reading This, It's Too Late. We all know the Quentin Miller story, the Meek Mill story, so on and so forth. Following that, on this track, he continues going at mumble rappers. He says because half of these rappers have brain damage, all the lean rap and face tats syruped out like a tree sap. Now let's talk about the track that I really love on this album called Stepping Stone. This track is basically a confessional song addressed to Eminem's older rap group, D12. This song reminds me a lot of the 2004 track, How Come. If you guys know that track, you know that this song resembles it a lot, except this song is reflecting on the rap group D12 from Eminem's point of view completely, and of course, after Proof's death. Throughout this whole track, Eminem is essentially looking at D12 as a group and assessing why they didn't exceed the way Eminem expected. Why didn't they become as big as Eminem himself? He blames it basically on the fact that Proof died, and he says that he just basically used a group as a stepping stone, and he feels guilty for that. He feels like each individual artist from that group should have gotten just as big as Eminem or even bigger. However, as the bars go on, he feels resentment toward the group for being the only one that was carrying everyone's career. Sometimes when you're the major big artist, you do carry other people's careers, whether you like it or not. So this track was very dope to me. I look forward to more of this type of Eminem in the future. I hope we get more of this, of Eminem reflecting in his music career, not just in his personal life. Following that comes the track Not Alike, featuring Royce the 5'9". And on this track, Eminem continues going at mumble rappers. He even uses a lot of trap beats and a lot of melodies from like rappers like Migos on the track Bad and Bougie, stuff like that. He even responds to Machine Gun Kelly. As we know, when this track starts off, it sounds a lot like the Look Alive track with Block Boy JB and Drake. In the pre-chorus of the song, he says, brain dead, eye drops, pain mid, cyclops, they bid, iPod, Maybach, Maybach. This is basically a reference to Migos' Bad and Bougie, and he's just proving how easy it is to use that flow on trap beats. Now let's talk about why he's going at Machine Gun Kelly. Let's talk about the backstory of why this is even happening. First off, Machine Gun Kelly, a while ago in 2012, tweeted about Eminem's daughter and her being basically hot as fuck, and Eminem disliked that, so Eminem banned him from Shade 45, from rapping from there, and Machine Gun Kelly and Eminem haven't been cool since. After he got banned from Shade 45, Machine Gun Kelly constantly was talking about Eminem and even decided to go subliminally at Eminem quite a few times, but the most recent one was his feature with Tech 9 on the track called No Reasons. In the feature, he started out his verse mentioning Dr. Dre. He said, "It's only one option, you gon' need a doctor. I ain't talking about the one from Compton. Arms, feet, legs all gone like I'm Don Corleone." Then he continues and says, "To remind y'all, you just rap and not God. I don't care who got bars, because they don't acknowledge mine. Show me who got scars." What he's saying in these bars is referring to Eminem's Rap God song, and he basically says, you're not God, you're just a rapper, and I don't care how many bars you got, you have to acknowledge me too. And when he says show me who got scars, he's basically saying I got banned from Shade 45, so Eminem's the one that's really butthurt and not me. So of course Eminem heard this and responded on the Not Alike track. He said, "So you better have arms if you're gonna pull up. Oh, you run the streets, huh? Now you want to come and fuck with me, huh? This little cocksucker, he must be feeling himself. He wants to keep his tough demeanor. So he does a feature, decides to team up with Nina. But next time, you don't got to use Tech 9. And if you want to come at me with a submachine gun, and I'm talking to you, but you already know who the fuck you are, Kelly. I don't use sublims, and sure as fuck don't sneak this. But keep commenting on my daughter Haley. I keep on telling motherfuckers, bitches, in case you forgot, really. I need jaw memories." So with this bar, he's basically saying, look what I did to Ja Rule for mentioning Haley, so you better watch out what you're saying about my daughter. He continues and says, "I respond rarely, but this time Shady about to sound off. Like a fucking cocked semi-Glock demigod, let me put a fucking silencer on this little non-threatening blonde. Fairy cornball taking shots at me." Now let's talk about the next track, which is the title track called Kamikaze. On this track, Eminem decides to reflect more on the Revival album and the critics that were dissing it, and basically admits that Revival wasn't as good as an album as he'd hope. But towards the end, Eminem decides to take more shots at Drake. He says, "You got some views, but you're still below me. Mine are higher, so when you compare our views, you get overlooked. And I don't say the hook unless I wrote the hook." As we all know, like I said, Drake has been exposed for not writing certain tracks, having ghostwriters, and Eminem's mentioning the views part is just in reference to Drake's album Views. Now let's talk about the track that got most people's attention, and this track was called Fall. In this track, he's basically responding to every single critic, reviewer, whatever the case may be, every artist that went at him, with names being mentioned. He started it out with Charlemagne, of course. He said, "One last time for Charlemagne, if my response is late, it's just how long it takes to hit my fucking radar. I'm so far away." He's basically saying he's too big of an artist, too big of a celebrity to even care about Charlemagne, and whatever he says, I can respond whenever I want to. It doesn't matter. Then he starts to go at mumble rappers once again. He says, "These rappers are like Hunger Games. 1 minute they're mocking Jay. Next minute they get their style from Migos. Then they copy Drake. Maybe I just don't know when to turn around and walk away." Then in the second verse, he goes straight at Joe Budden and DJ Academics for going at him on Everyday Struggle. He says, "Somebody tell Budden before I snap, he better fasten it or have his body bag get zipped. The closest thing he's had to hits is smacking bitches," which is in reference to Joe Budden's domestic violence history. Then he says, "And don't make me have to give it back to Academics. Say this shit is trash again, I'll have you twisted. Like you had it when you thought you had me slipping at the telly. Even when I'm getting brain, you'll never catch me with a thought." Basically, Academics reported that, Eminem was getting caught with some thought in a hotel room, and really it was for a music video. So he says, "You're an idiot. I did not get caught slipping like that, and I will never get caught slipping like that." Then he responds to Tyler the Creator, and let's talk about why he's going at Tyler the Creator. In 2017, Tyler the Creator, of course, responded to the Walk on Water track, and he tweeted saying, "Dear God, this song is horrible. Sheesh, how the fuck." Now, as we all know, Tyler the Creator is a huge fan of Eminem. He's always liked Eminem. He even praised Eminem's Relapse album as one of the greatest albums to him. And as you can tell, some of his style is somewhat taken from Eminem. Then on his 2017 album Flower Boy, on the track Garden Shed, he basically kind of came out the closet. So Eminem decides to go at him for that and decides to go at him for criticizing him. In the bars, he says, "Tyler create nothing. I see why you called yourself a faggot, bitch. It's not because you lack attention. It's because you worship D12's balls. You're sacrilegious. If you're going to critique me, you better at least be as good or better." Then he says, "Go get Earl the hooded sweater, whatever his name is, to help you put together some words more than just 2 letters." And in these bars, he's saying, if you're going to respond to what I'm saying right here, you better get some help. And if you get help, get it from Earl Sweatshirt, because clearly he's the better lyricist in the group Odd Future. Then he says some slick bars that I feel like a lot of people missed that were going at Drake. He said, "The fans waited for this moment like that feature when I stole this show. Ha, sorry if I took forever." Basically referencing, his crazy verse on the track Forever, which featured Kanye West, Lil Wayne, and Drake, and everyone said Eminem had the standout verse. Then in the third verse, he decides to go more at Drake. He says, "All I know is I wrote every single word of everything I ever murdered. Time to separate the sheep from the goats. And I ain't got no faith in your writers. I don't believe in ghosts." Overall, I don't understand why Eminem is going at Drake. Maybe it's something behind the scenes that we don't know. I thought everything was cool between the two, but it could be just Eminem wanting competition and wanting to go at the person that's on top right now. Following this, Eminem responds to Lord Jamar, and as you guys know, Lord Jamar is a very outspoken person. On Vlad TV, he said something along the lines that if you're not a black person in hip-hop, you're a guest in hip-hop in this culture, you're a guest in this house.
Just like in Eminem, we had a lot of people talking about, is Eminem a guest in the house of hip-hop? You motherfucking right he is.
And Eminem decided to respond to that. And he said, "And as far as Lord Jamar, you better leave me the hell alone or I'll show you an Elvis clone. Walk up in this house you own, brush my pelvic bone. You should telephone and go fetch me the remote, put my feet up and just make myself at home. I belong here, clown. Don't tell me about the culture. I inspire the Hobsons, the Logics, the Coles, the Shawns, the K-Dots, the 5-9s, and brought the world 50 Cent. You did squat, pissed and moaned." And that's self-explanatory. That's a crazy bar going at Lord Jamar. But that's it for this Eminem album in terms of what Eminem was responding to and who he was responding to. With that being said, what do you guys think of this album? I think it's one of the better Eminem albums. It's definitely better than Revival and better than Marshall Mathers LP2. Like I said, I'm not a fan of Rick Rubin when he gets involved with Eminem. I feel like the production quality is just terrible. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. What are your favorite tracks? What are your least favorite tracks? My favorite, my top 3 is The Ringer, Fall, and Stepping Stones. Those 3 are my favorite on this whole album. Leave a comment below. If you want to support this channel further, you can do so at patreon.com/diversementality. For just $1 a month or more, you can help support this channel further. A link is in the description below. Like, comment, share, subscribe. I do videos like this daily on hip-hop news and much more, so definitely subscribe. Follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at QuakeGW. Like us on Facebook, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.